Alright, hello everyone. Welcome back to another stream. Starting with some Spearmaster. Finally getting into this speedrun. Potentially one of the hardest speedruns. At least the base ones, the base categories. I should point out, this is not like an actual attempt. We're not doing that yet. I have a bunch of mods enabled. I want to just go do them quickly. Warp menu lets me just teleport around the map wherever I want. Beastmaster lets me spawn in creatures because with this mod, it disables creatures. I'll explain that a bit when we get into the run. This lets me teleport around and do some other things for quality of life. Now you may think that having all those mods enabled is cheating, which it totally is. So we're not doing real attempts yet. But what I want to do is get an idea of what like the route is and what the movement I should be doing is. All of that stuff. Because this run is very creature heavy. There's pretty much no chance that you're just going to get through the run without any encounters with creatures at all. Whoops. Gotta start creating a sphere before the jump. And that's... okay, I forgot to throw boost here. Yeah, it's faster to do throw boost there instead of like, just pinning spears in the wall. Hello, welcome to the stream. So yeah, this run has just a whole lot of creatures that you have to deal with. But in a speedrun, you know, you're also focusing on having good movement. So I decided that, you know, it'd be kind of pointless just to try to attempt the run without knowing what I'm doing first. So I would just be dying to creatures a whole lot. I would like not know where to go or know what to do for certain rooms. So my plan for now is to focus on movement. Get really good at the movement in this run, and then start doing attempts where I learn how to deal with the creatures. And of course, once I do enable creatures, it's going to be, you know, a bit of a difficulty spike. Voice sounds off. Yeah, a lot of grapple worm movement. So I want to get really good at the grapple worm sections. So that, because, you know, the slower you are, the more likely you are to have encounters with creatures. So I gotta focus on getting good at that, as well as like some of them. You go through a lot of iterators. That's kind of a big part of this run. You go through 5 pebbles and moon. So just learning how... oh, I can't eat this fruit. So since I have creatures disabled, I can't actually get food. So I guess I'll just have to eat these bat flies. And then I miss immediately. I only need to get 8 of them. I don't even know if there's 8 bat flies in this room. Usually, I think the strategy here is to go a few rooms up to where all the droppings are. This is not a fast way to get food. Probably the one part of the run that's actually a lot slower with creatures disabled. Yeah, there's also a dropper in this room, but also a red lizard, so you kind of want to stay out of this room if possible. Getting food with dev tools. I'll probably just do that, honestly. I don't even see enough bat flies in this room anyway for food. But the start of the run, well, it's difficult because of the creatures, but it's not very difficult in terms of movement. It's pretty much just pebbles percent. Maybe I should also disable the karma requirements when I do these practice runs, so I don't have to spend much time karma caching. So I think you would have this much food left after karma crashing. So this room, there's usually a ton of dropwings here, so you never get to just run through it smoothly. That's something to figure out in future attempts. Something I can do here. I've been trying to practice those wall pounces a lot more recently. There's, well, first of all, it's just faster. So while I have wall pounces enabled, I might as well practice that. But also another run that I'm doing makes use of a lot of wall pounces. Lucky the dropwings will not set up yet. Maybe, like if you're very lucky, you can just run through because they won't like be aggressive until they set up on the ceiling. So industrial is another pretty rough area in terms of creatures. Also, welcome everyone who is joined. I should mention that I have a bunch of mods enabled to make practice easier. One of those mods disables creatures pretty much, so I will not be saying pretty much anything that's dangerous. Because I want to get good at the movements in this run before I do it real attempts. So, and like, what's the point of doing attempts where I spend like most of my time dying to creatures if I'm not even gonna do the movement very well? So I'm going to focus on this for now. Also, I don't know. Never mind. So something that I've been thinking about for the start of this run. So from here, we're going through chimney and then the wall. And there's a lot of lizards in these two regions. Well, there normally would be a lot of lizards. So I'm wondering if it would be worth it to get a vulture mask. Because there's these guys, right? I don't even know if this will spawn a vulture. Yeah, this doesn't work. But maybe if you could get a vulture mask here, it'd make the rest of this area a lot easier. Here's all the bat flies. So, yeah, I'm just gonna try to get through this area quickly since I'm already pretty good at this movement. Since I've done Pebbles %, just like playing the game casually too. You do this area a lot. The difficulty of this will be dealing with all the like leap lizards, white lizards, dropwigs, just that kind of stuff. You can do something here. You can do that as any slug get, but it's easier as Spearmaster since you can always have a spear for that. Funny thing that I found recently on the movement document for this game, That one that everyone talks about with like 100 pages or something. On that movement document, there's a page about like a bunch of either removed mechanics or mechanics that people haven't really looked into that much. And one of those is this method for a safe pole hop, where you press up right after attempting a pole hop, so that if you miss it, you end up grabbing the pole anyway. And that's funny. It was kind of mentioned as like a thing that you shouldn't do, or not that you shouldn't do, but that's like nobody's really looked into it because it's like pretty easy to learn how to do pole hops consistently. But I do that. I do that safe strategy where I press up after attempting the pole hop, so that if you miss it, you just jump or you grab onto the pole instead. That's just the strategy that I always use. And I sometimes mess up pole hops, and I always save myself by holding up. I think that should be part of the actual document. You could just search up like rain world movement document. I'm sure you'll find it. Ultramaster is pretty necessary. When I first, so I've done a Spearmaster speedrun before, specifically with a specific remix option enabled that lets you passage with the pearl. So basically, I didn't have to carry the pearl with me. I just had to get to moon, and then I would passage back and forth to bring the pearl around, which makes the run significantly easier since you don't have to backtrack through precipice and underhang. So in that strategy, I used a grapple worm and a vulture mask. Those were the items that I was carrying. And it did make the run possible. That's why I finished it. It was not very fast though. For what's possible in that category compared to story percent. Story percent does not allow you to passage. Well, you can passage, but not with the pearl, so it's kind of pointless. But this whole area would be filled with lizards normally. A bunch of cyan lizards here, and then white lizards afterwards. So, you know, you do have both of your hands free for this area. Gosh, I can't slide. Playing too much rivulet. You didn't even do the roll pounce there, and it still worked out. Yeah, then there'd be white lizards around here probably. Okay, so I should point out something in this route. You can actually go into pebbles. I think it's faster to go through pebbles instead of going back down the wall. Because normally, you know, once you go up the wall, you get to pebbles, and if you decide to go back down, you have to go up across the top of the wall again, which is usually filled with scavengers that want to kill you. All the way back down the wall, filled with lizards, and then through the first half of underhang. Or you could just go into pebbles, and you don't need to do any of that. You just go through a few rooms in zero gravity, and then you end up at the middle of underhang. It's actually not hard at all to get into pebbles. Because usually he tries to kick you out into the other room, but if you time a jump properly, you can pretty much always make it in. I don't actually know if it's faster, but it's definitely easier. And it probably depends on your zero gravity movement, which is something that I want to learn in this stream. So this area, okay, another thing about this run, I don't know if it's a good idea to fight the scavengers or try to befriend the scavengers. I don't know what their reputation is at the start of the run. It's pretty low. I think it might be lower than Hunter. Okay, I'm gonna show you the easy way to get out of Pebble's room. The thing is that, like, you'd have to spend so much time trying to give stuff to the scavengers. Oh, and then you go into this room, it's completely dark. Good lighting. Minus 45. I think Hunter is like minus 25 or something like that. So that's like, I think the best way to up your reputation is to give them a bunch of overseer eyes or spears. It just takes so long. Maybe, you know, maybe in Outskirts you could go to the scavenger toll and do the glitch where you give them a pearl and then give them a bunch of items where each item that you give gives extra reputation. I don't even know if that bug still works. You could get your reputation up really high and then never have to worry about scavengers for the rest of the run. But that's like such a detour through Outskirts, and that's also a super dangerous area around the toll. Also, it is a good idea to eat that popcorn. I'm gonna assume that the scavenger spawns are the same as Artificer, which means that they have a decent chance of showing up, but not always. I always like to do flips right there for some reason. Yeah, and the Overseer can make the scavengers throw stuff at you. Usually you save here, right before Pebbles. So make sure that you don't move here, because I think you do have some amount of stamina when you're in this injured state, so it's best to wait until your eyes are open. And you can start moving. Grab the pearl. Grab the pearl. Okay, that actually didn't work out. I couldn't grab the pearl. He tries to kill you. Okay, well, that didn't work out because I couldn't grab the pearl, which I haven't had a problem with that in the times that I practiced that. I don't want to go back through all these regions because I've already, I feel like I'm already confident with the movement. Where is this? 5 pebbles. I have no idea which room this is. And I was talking like, hey, here's a consistent strategy, and then I failed that consistent strategy. Here we are. Got here, very legit. So I can see why you might want to save there, so you don't mess up the getting into pebbles. You do have to be quite fast because there's not much time when you're injured. There's not much time for you to get over to grab the pearl and get into position. I thought that there would be priority on grabbing the pearl. It's like out of all the pearls in that room, you have to grab it to leave. Although I think it like is automatically put in your hand when you leave. I don't know if it works when you leave through the wrong door though. That's what I was concerned about. Like maybe just puts it in that room that you're supposed to leave through. It doesn't doesn't go if you go through the wrong door. I don't know if it works if you try to exit early though. That's what I'm concerned about. Okay, let's just not try to grab it and see if I get. See, now I don't have the pearl though. Yo, you mind giving me the pearl? That's down there. So yeah, if he doesn't force you out with the pearl, then you just don't get it. And that just seems pretty impossible. That's why we're practicing this. You never know what to expect in this game. Cause I did like 2 practice attempts of this little trick at Pebbles, and I was successful both of those times. So I was like, okay, this trick isn't that hard. And of course, it isn't. It isn't that easy. Also, I have never found a consistent way to do this room. It's kind of easy as Spearmaster since you can throw items to correct your movement, but once you go off track, you kind of like forget what to do. You can practice one way to do it, and if it works 80% of the time, then you're good that 80% of the time. But then the 20% of the time it doesn't work, you don't know what to do. So when he drops the pearl, thought I wouldn't do Spearmaster. I did say I was going to do Spearmaster eventually, but for the longest time I was talking about how I didn't want to do Spearmaster. Here we are. These are practice attempts at the moment, so I have mods enabled to make it all easier. So I want to see if I can grab it when it bounces up. Yeah, that seems to work well. You want to jump right when he destroys the Overseer, and you get out. Okay. Now, I don't know if I've ever gone through Pebbles in a speedrun. So I'll have to learn how to do all these rooms quickly. That's already not a good start. I tried to throw the spear. Be very careful about that to throw the right item if you want to throw boost. Yeah, I was thinking you could try to like move some of the pearls out of the way in advance, but you don't really know where he's gonna drop it. Yeah, I guess you could throw them into the corner, because I don't think he drops a pearl there ever. But you just don't have much time. Okay, so now this is the furthest I've gone in a practice attempt. passaging is forbidden, specifically passaging with key items. If you were able to passage, or if you were able to put the pearl in your stomach, you could totally do that. But that's just, Spearmaster's not able to do that. And you need to have a specific remix option enabled to be able to passage with this pearl, so it's not allowed for this run, really. You could still passage without the pearl. Although, like, is there really a good reason to do that? I already forgot where to go. From here. Okay, you immediately just go back over here. I have the map open, by the way. I'm probably going to be looking at while I'm in the iterators. So from here we go down. Yeah, I get, like, it's kind of like intended for Spearmaster campaign for you to have to carry the pearl with you, so it's what we do in the story percent run. That's usually how these categories work. The intended route is, or story percent is the intended route, and then there can be other categories for if you want to make changes to that. So there is the category for Spearmaster where you can passage with this pearl. Although I'm focusing on the, I'm focusing on the story percent runs, so I'm not doing that. Maybe if I really struggle with getting a good run on story percent, maybe I will try that one with passaging. I'm kind of just like winging all of this. Okay, that's probably not a good way to do that. Oh, I have my cursor on screen, sorry about that. So then we go into this room. One time I was doing expedition runs, and I had the burden on, the pursued burden, where there's a red creature that chases you down. And one time I was in Pebbles, and a red lizard showed up and killed me in one of these long tunnels. It's just like you see it coming and like quite far in advance, but you just can't do anything about it since you're just floating around. It's just a red lizard approaching at a significant speed. Here we want to grab the pole to line up your jump. Oh, is there an inspector in this room? It doesn't look like it. I haven't seen one yet. I guess another thing that's nice about this route is that you get the neuron glow, which makes a few rooms a bit easier. It's not that significant, but you know, anything helps, I guess. I did not want to just step straight back down. There's definitely a better way to do this room. Honestly, I kind of like that Pebbles is part of the route. Like for all the the dangerous creatures that you have to get past in earlier parts of the run and later parts too. There's just a nice little break in the middle of going through this area where there's pretty much nothing that's dangerous at all, unless you go through unfortunate development. I'm not going to be doing. Oh, that is kind of annoying for attempts that like there's always this like this part in the middle that's kind of boring to get through that you have to do in between all the other attempts where you die a whole lot. Honestly, unfortunate development would not be that bad if it weren't for some of the rooms around the end, or I guess the beginning if you're going from the top, where I went the wrong way. There's some areas that are just like it's mostly the like the tentacles on the wall. They can sometimes just be reaching out and they grab you. Do you need to stay in a shelter here? I didn't think about that. Because if you make it to pebbles from like the wall, right, it's gonna be quite late in the cycle. So you probably would want to stay in the shelter here because it might be raining already. No, unfortunate development is definitely faster. Old garbage waste. That's all you had to say. I don't have any food though. So I think the strategy here is just to not mess up the thing at Pebbles. Because you can eat the popcorn plant, and if you don't shelter, you can make it all the way here with the food from that popcorn plant. It can take a while to get food from the neurons. I think that's the strategy. Should I? Okay, I'm just gonna use step tools. I'll just get myself food. But I'll remember that. That I should skip that shelter. Well, I only stay in that shelter because I want to practice the trick where you get into pebbles. But hopefully I'll get consistent at that so that I don't really have to worry about sheltering there. Or I could try to get more food in advance. So I suppose it wouldn't be a problem if you're like spearing creatures the whole way through the run. You would be getting a little bits of food here and there. Sleep at pebbles with enough food and then eat the popcorn. Yeah, it depends. I mean, I don't really want to rely on a strategy that might be kind of inconsistent. Or the popcorn plant at the end of Chimney. That's also... Although I might want to save that for later when you're going back through... That's an explosive spear right there. If you want to shelter before Sky Islands, you might want to use that popcorn plant. Head buttons. So that's what I usually do as Rivulet. But Spearmaster does not jump as far. And also I forgot which way I'm going. I kind of just reverted into Rivulet route. You want to keep going to the right from that room. Let's get that pipe boost there. don't know why Rain World sometimes keeps the cursor on screen when it's supposed to be hidden. There is a cursor that is in game. Sometimes they just overlap. So from here, thanks map, very useful. Assume that from here you just go this way. This little area right here might be kind of annoying because the lizards like to fill in these tunnels. Hello, welcome to the stream. If you're wondering how I've already made it to underhang, it's because creatures are disabled, so that I can practice movement. So at this point, you want to grab a grapple worm. There should be one, well, okay. There should be one like right here. That's why I have this mod enabled. So there we go. That is where you would grab a grapple worm, I believe. No weapon slam zone, yep. So we're pretty much carrying these two items for the rest of the run. Pearl and a grapple worm. Thanks, Papyrus. So this area tends to have some dangerous creatures: sleep lizards, white lizards, dropwigs, red spiders, all sorts of nasty things. So from here, you might want to shelter here, where I don't have any food at all. So yeah, I'm not really sure what the shelter route is. Every shelter that you take loses time, but it also saves time if you die a lot. Of course, we don't want to die at all, which is kind of unrealistic for this character, though. This is like one of those speedruns where you're kind of expected to die a few times. And you save time by getting more consistent and like just better at this character and dealing with the creatures. This area also tends to have some scavengers in it. It seems like it'd be pretty easy to deal with them since you can like pop out of these tunnels and throw a spear and then pop back in. So you're safe, pretty safe. I didn't want to go in there, but there's another shelter right there that you could take. Also, holding two items like this means that we pretty much can't throw boosts at all. So I'm pretty sure that you want to take this popcorn plant. Or not. You might want to save this for the return trip, right? But also, you know, there's no like shelter from this point on. So ideally you would have already sheltered. Just want the end of precipice. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Eat that one so that you shelter before moon, and then eat this one when you're coming back so you can shelter before going back through underhang. You're more of an Undertale player? I can tell. So this area is where you can really optimize the grapple worm movement. Also, you really want to know where you can grapple since you're going off screen a lot of the time. Yeah, you also get food from moon. I feel like this run would be really good if it just had a few less, like, extremely dangerous creatures in it, you know? Like, some of this movement is actually kind of fun to, like, ride out, as well as, like, you know, getting food and, I don't know, just all sorts of different things in this run, except then you just have to deal with so many dangerous creatures that kind of drains all the fun away from it. Stand up, please. Is there an easier way to do this? Maybe... Nope, that didn't work at all. I guess just try not to wobble around too much. Run away at least we can. This game is certainly very challenging. I think that if you can get through the kind of like frustration of dying a lot to things that you think that you shouldn't die to. Oh, hold up. Yeah, you should probably grapple across the whole top of this. Crawl turn for that part. It's okay, is a crawl turn doing this? I messed it up. Is it this sort of thing? Where you do a backflip like that? Or is it the crazy high jump where you do like a few frame perfect inputs? Because I really don't want to try to learn that. So that was very close. That's roughly what you want to do there. This game and Dark Souls have a very different type of difficulty. Well, maybe not. There's like some similarities. I don't know. I haven't played Dark Souls. So apparently there's something that you can do in this room. You go across the side. Oh, is it gonna rain from down here? I don't know where the rain reaches. I'm sure at some point it goes away, right? Okay, let's just go the other side. Moon Siren. Everyone loves the Moon Siren for some reason. It's just a siren. I don't see what the big deal is. I assume it's safe here. Okay, I have a question. It does rain here, so is this the last like safe room? If I go back out, would I die? I can't even go past. I don't have karma. Yeah, it did look like it was kind of getting worse. So I think you leave the grapple worm here. Because you want to have them for... I don't know if you shelter there, though. Because if it's the end of the cycle in Moon structure, the gravity stops flipping, and that might make some of the movements impossible. Already messed up, maybe. You probably just stay along the top. So now we go up. Hopefully I remember. There's a lot of people here. Hello, everyone. Oh, you can go to the grapple, or you can keep using the grapple worm. Okay, that's interesting. So whether you... Be careful here. I assume that you can make this jump, but I'm not going to risk it. this safe? Yeah, it is. So, a little explanation for anyone who's just joining. I am practicing the Spearmaster story percent speedrun. Whoops. When do I have to jump here? Probably not then. That goes too high. Okay, well, I'll just hang out up here and I can fall down. So the goal for this speedrun is to get this pearl. I had to go over to Pebbles to grab the pearl. And then go from there over to Moon, show Moon the pearl, and then bring the pearl all the way back to Sky Islands. I should not have done that. And that is very difficult, considering all of the dangerous creatures that are in the way, like leaf lizards, king vultures, just a whole lot of awful things. So I'm practicing right now with a bunch of mods to make the game easier, like disabling creatures. I have dev tools on so I can teleport around if I want. Just so I can focus on improving at movement before I do real attempts where creatures would kind of get in the way. This area is made easier by the neuron light. It's quite dark. This is story percent. Story percent is always like basically just playing through a character's campaign in the intended way. Intended or not. Like mostly you do like all the main objectives that the character is supposed to do. The pearl is just like important for the story. Doesn't really do anything other than take up one of your hands so that you can't carry something else that might actually be useful. There's a category where you can use passages to bring the pearl around. I've already forgotten where to go. I think you go up here. What? Do you go into this? I want to look at the map real quick. Yes, from this room we go. Get the gravity's kind of weird. Go over here. If I can use these things for movement, I kind of like jump off of them. I don't know if you can make this jump with the gravity. Oh yeah, you probably can. Yeah, just like that. So there's a category where you can use passages to bring the pearl around. And it makes it run a lot easier since you can hold another item like a spear to protect yourself or a vulture mask to scare away lizards. But there's a like additional option that you have to enable that lets you pass with the pearl. So the kind of intended route is to just carry the pearl with you like this. So this is why it's what you have to do in story percent. Now we just kind of sit here and talk with Moon for a bit. That's okay, that's definitely not the case. back to doing this. Oh, it's just low gravity now. Oh, I messed up. What if you can leave the room by doing that? Now we actually get onto the pearl. So basically, a quick summary of the story. While we aren't doing that much movement, it doesn't let you leave. Okay. So basically, there's pearl from Seven Red Suns. Basically, trying to talk to Pebbles. I forget what it says exactly. The gravity is like changing all the time. Basically, they're trying to help out Pebbles in some way, and Pebbles doesn't like that. Doesn't like anyone. I don't know. Pebbles doesn't like that other iterators are involved with what he's doing, so he gets mad and he gets rid of the overseer, and he tries to like push you out of his chamber. So you got to bring the pearl over to Moon. She's like, "Oh, this is interesting, but I'll rewrite the pearl so that I can broadcast a message, basically saying that I'm pretty much about to die." And I'm pretty sure that message is what prompts No Significant Harassment to send out the hunter. Did she not give you the pearl? That's fun. And the hunter is what brings the slide reset key, or whatever it's called, the green neuron. This is all in the past, before any other campaign. So okay, the Gourmand stuff that you're all talking about. For some reason, Gourmand basically goes out into the world and looks for a bunch of food. That's what the food quest is. You're seeing if there's an adequate amount of food for the Slugheads to survive. And if you complete the food quest, then he's like, "Hey guys, there's like all this food out here. We should like travel out there and live there instead, because the Slugheads are just nomadic. And I guess they just go wherever there's food." So Gourmand, like, look at all this cool stuff that there is to eat. And completing the food quest kind of starts this journey of all the Slugheads traveling into the world. And the reason slug pups are unlocked is because I'm pretty sure that those are kind of the slug pups that were like left behind, or kind of got lost at some point during like while all the like Slugheads were traveling. So you can find those slug pups when you're playing as the characters that take place just after Gourmand. Or wait, can Hunter get slug pups? So maybe it doesn't make sense. Because Gourmand is after Hunter, right? So now in the run, we're pretty much just like retracing all of our steps. Okay, let's be careful here. But you like, people get swipe up in score runs, right? Because there's a passage for it. I really like this room. Just like a kind of huge, just void. So I do have to be careful in this area. Big room is cut confirmed in the original game. Something that they were going to put in Pebbles. Okay, that's probably make that jump. Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. So you just shelter here instead. In the best shelter. Who knows how Plug Cat actually sleeps in here? In the side house. Was that also made by Andrew, or was that someone else? Anti-gravity is so anti-fun. I don't mind the anti-gravity. It can be kind of annoying if you get stuck kind of like floating mid-air. You can't really like launch yourself off of anything. But if you actually like learn the routes through the rooms, it's kind of fun to just like bounce off between the walls. Of course, not everyone's going to learn the specific routes to get through all of 5 Pebbles and Moon. So this room, kind of want to learn how to do this room very quickly. Just like fall all the way down to the bottom. So there's some poles that you can grab here. But there's nothing really here. So I guess you'd fall down, jump off of that platform, grab like this pole. Drop down from there. Actually, you know, what's this stuff? I have depth tools on. So drop down here, don't grapple, jump off there. Okay, I went too far. You only want to drop down one platform there. Okay. Grab worm is stuck. How did they go through the floor that I didn't? Oh, okay, they're back. It's just rain world. Don't worry about it. I mean, it's cool that Moon is in the game, but also I can totally understand why they would want to not have Moon, because it's pretty much just the same thing. I mean, it's made more special by, you know, each of the characters that has their own campaign, you know, the fact that only one of them gets to explore Moon, when she's actually, like, still, like, pre-collapse, you know? And also you get to see how the whole region changes over time as, you know, you get to see submerged superstructure, like Bitter Airy. It's a little bit of a scary jump there. Maybe especially if you're getting chased by vultures. Can you make this jump? Oh, definitely. Yeah, like both of the iterators have so much. Okay, don't go over there. So much stuff between the timelines. You get to see Pebbles as he is normally, and then the Rot, and then Silent Construct. And then for Moon, it's all the same thing, except it's not the Rot, it's just Collapse. Probably, actually, I'm gonna test that again. So you can just make this whole thing in one grapple. I didn't get much hype from that. Grapple Worm is doing his own speedrun tech. I only had to clip through the floor. Although it was pretty slow, so I wouldn't try that strategy. I don't know if you can make it up to that platform up top. There's quite a big gap in the poles up left there. So now is when you want to get this popcorn plant. Okay, nice hitbox. You probably want to shelter at the start of Underhang, right? I'm not exactly sure where I want to shelter for an actual run. Because it really just depends on which areas you think are the most dangerous. And there's not too many like required shelters. I mean, it's such a long run that you're probably gonna run out of a few cycles, so you're gonna need the shelter eventually. But you could like take a lot of safety shelters. I usually try to avoid safety shelters. Like if I'm gonna do a speedrun, I might as well do it as well as I can. So avoiding all like unnecessary parts of the route. But I don't know if that's going to be the case for Spearmaster 2. So this shelter, right? I mean, the shelter's actually it's pretty late in the shelter already, so. I mean, I did go back in a few rooms to practice them, so you would have more time normally, but also you'd have to deal with creatures normally. And we get a passage. Oh, actually, I'd like to stay at the top of this room. It's like a red lizard or a red spider that spawns right there, so they might snipe you. Do a little skip here. There might be a white lizard or some orange. Are there orange lizards here? Or Spearmaster? Maybe they've all been replaced with cyan lizards instead. Also a drop wig. Of course. I think you want to stay, or do you want to stay low? Because this term, oh, I hate that the map is never filled in. I'll look at this room for a bit because there's this like huge gap that you can't really get past. Yeah. So I don't know how fast it would be to like go through the whole path underneath this. But if you have to go through here, there's like a bunch of silent lizards in this room as well as these like pipes you have to get through. There's also like 2 different pipes that you could go through. A lot of options here. Maybe I'll like time this area to see which option is the best. And now this is about the area where you're actually need to use the grapple worm. Okay. It's kind of how Underhang is split up. There's like half of it you can get by without a grapple worm, but it's not necessary. And then the second half, it definitely is necessary. Right about this point. Oh, that gap, there's just those 2 platforms. I think I know what you're talking about. So for this area, I think that you do not that. That works. Just need to throw the spear a little bit lower. So I've done this section a whole lot as a review with the grapple worm. Never from this direction. That's definitely not how you're supposed to do it. You know, sometimes it's also good to try to practice the, like, if you make a mistake, what you should do after that. And then here, there might be a whole lot of creatures. White lizard, silent lizards, scavengers, dropwig too. Pretty sure all those creatures that I just listed might show up at like any point in the run, honestly. To get straight into that pipe, yeah, I imagine. But anytime I try to get into that pipe without like a spear to jump off of, it seems inconsistent. So there's only a few rooms from here, or from that like previous shelter. There's a shelter in this room right here. And I don't know if it's worth taking because there can be a lot of awful creatures like right in these few rooms. There's like a shelter like only a few rooms away, and then once you get to Chimney, there's also a shelter like a few rooms away. Like, which of these shelters should you take? This is another option, although you don't really have to go out of your way to get it. And then from here, like, what's the most dangerous thing? Like some vultures? Maybe on the way up, you should grab the echo so that it's it pacifies the scavenger or the vultures if they show up later in the room. I also don't know if it's worth bringing the grapple worm through this area, because you don't need them anymore, but they might make some movement a bit faster. So here, you can do this. And you can die. That's what you can do. You guys want to see underhang again? There's probably a better way to get back up onto the platform, but it is faster to go along the bottom like that with the grapple worm, unless maybe you do a lot of extended hops. I don't want to fall down like that. Yeah, there is that room where vultures still work, but then it's the 2 rooms after that where you would be safer. I don't know if it's worth going up to the Echo for 2 rooms of slightly less risk of getting attacked by a vulture. And like on your way up to that Echo, you might get attacked by a vulture or a lizard that's camping up there. So, okay. Go down here. So, or maybe I'll just try going up onto the platforms. I don't know where they are. Actually, yeah, I'll go down here and put them on the map so I can look on where I should line up the jump down. Although I don't think it's worth going like all the way through these orbs, since there might also be lizards in here. That's not much to land on. I thought that there might be like some poles connecting them. So they're pretty much right below like the gaps in the... But I don't know if you would be able to like not take fall. Like, do I take fall damage from this? Yes. So there's definitely a risk of just like dropping the pearl because of fall damage. I'm gonna say that's not worth it to go through this area. There's the setup. You guys have 3 different strategies for this room. So, hold up. If you like drop down here, right? This is not a good space to be in. You don't really want to be there. Oops. Behind me as I get stretched across the entire room. Whoops. I always get messed up like that. See, like, even if you got to that platform, it'd like take a while to get back up. It's just be way easier just to take the other route. Like, even if you could get through that quickly, it like doesn't seem that fast. Even if you find a consistent strategy to get through that room, it wouldn't be fast anyway. And I wonder from here you can go down here too. that much faster than going up top. I lost time all of this later. Rather not spend too much time on it right now, though. So I'll look to that into the future. I'll just take the top route for now. Shout out to the proto daddy long legs. I'm gonna try this out for a bit. Okay, I can't get it long enough. I think you either like hit the ground or I'm not gonna bother with that for now. Okay, sometimes you just get stuck upside down and you can't jump up the wall. That was so incredibly lucky. But I'm trying that again. That's what I wanted to do. DevTools. Wondering why that happens. If you press W with DevTools on, it kind of like flings you towards the cursor. But W is my key to do a fast roll, so I hold it down when I'm doing rolls like this. So if I accidentally keep DevTools on, I might get flung around like that. Wacky controls. W is a bit weird, but like my finger's already there. There's like not much space because I use the arrow keys to move around. And I thought it'd be weird to have like 2 different keys to roll on one hand. I mean, I guess that's not too weird, right? Keep all the roll keys together. Is it about to rain? Yeah. I think I can make it to at least the end of Chimney. But honestly, after like a few days of like using some control scheme, you get used to it, and it's no longer weird. I never understand why people get into arguments about control schemes. I mean, not really arguments, just like confusion of like why people have their controls set up a certain way. Because once you get used to it, it's no longer a weird control scheme, right? Jumping on numpad 0. I also, there's a game that I played that used that key. Or does it use that key? I'm trying to remember what the controls were. Because that game used arrow keys and WASD. Probably stay in this shelter because it's the only shelter that you're going to be able to get to throughout Sky Islands. Some really funny control that I used when playing Celeste. I have the, well, not like past tense, I still use this. I use the backward slash key to do a dash. And then WASD for movement. PTSD from Sky Islands. So why I wanted to keep the grapple worm, or at least one reason, you can kind of do this. Just get through that whole room really quickly. Why? Because it's just like, it's a easy key to hit with my other hand, I guess. I don't know. There also might be scavengers right here. And also, I guess technically you could do this. Although you have to get back up on the platform. Might not be the easiest thing to do. I get back up and immediately fall back down again. It's easier to get onto that platform for some reason. I think at this point the grapple worm is no longer useful. Maybe I'll drop it in that previous room. Or actually, I could keep going. You know, maybe I'll find another good place for it. But at this point, there's like more creatures that you want to deal with. Where holding onto a grapple worm, like, because like in underhang you can move very quickly with the grapple worm, so maybe you can just kind of avoid creatures like that. But once you get here, there's areas where the grapple worm is just completely useless, where you might want to hold some sort of item to deal with the lizard. So like you could potentially do this. That was awful. Doesn't feel particularly fast, and there's like these like holes down here that kind of get in the way. Or would that help? Depending on. Yeah, that's like really janky. Yeah, hello. Well, thanks for stopping by for a second. Goodness. Yeah, I feel like a grapple worm is not great to have for this area. Well, yeah, you can get out, but does it really make you faster? It's cool that the Some campaign lets you actually have a reason to go to communications array. Otherwise, it just sounds like it has a few pearls and that's it. This area is also still dangerous. King vultures like to show up here. Don't accidentally hit that. Wow, only 1 hour and 22 minutes. Pretty good time, except not at all. If you just completely ignore creatures, you can get a pretty good time. I'm pretty sure that once the timer ends, you can just exit out. Yeah, you don't really need to sit through the end. It actually shows you the ending screen here. Okay, I want to do that again. Just the whole thing, but with a little bit more knowledge. No, and I won't like go back through areas to practice them. I'll just try to do one full attempt without creatures. I might want to do this like multiple times. Like I might do another stream where it's just a full like no creatures run. Because I feel like once you start dealing with creatures, it's just kind of RNG. Like whether you get a good run or not. So I'd rather not like also have like movement RNG. I guess like has one way to explain it. Because you know you're always going to make mistakes in your movement. So I'd rather not wait for the run where I get like good luck with the creatures and good luck with hitting all the movement correctly. If I get really good at the movement, then it's pretty much just the creatures that I have to worry about. The world record is actually a run that is yet to be verified on Speedrun.com that literally, well, I don't know if it's world record actually. But I saw another run that was much faster than that. Like 120 something, or even below that, 119. And that's the run that I watched as a reference for this strategy. But like, it's pretty hard to find. It's very hard for me to find like what the route was for Spearmaster. It's like people just say like, oh, it's a really hard category, and then that's it. Actually, for a lot of runs, like downpour runs, there's not many good resources available. Okay. There we go. Yeah, we're just going to be using dev tools for food here. The game looks a lot more fun when there's no creatures in the way. Although, you know, creatures then also are like a big part of the experience. I'd say for like Monk and Survivor, the creatures are like fun to deal with, and then every other... Oh, and like Rivulet and Saint, I'd say. And for every other like Hunter spawn campaign, it's like not fun at all. Once there starts being like rooms that are like filled with multiple Cyan Lizards or red creatures. But I'd say for speedruns, doing these practice runs without any creatures really helps with motivation. Because you can just enjoy the speedrun by doing the movement, because that's I assume that's what a lot of people enjoy about Rain World speedrunning. It's the movement is like very unique, whereas like any other platformer. And it's annoying when the creatures kind of slow you down, and also force you to like restart a lot of attempts. But like, if you get to practice without any creatures, you can focus on the movement and like enjoy doing that, like get really good at it. So then when you do actual attempts, it's just like, okay, wait for like a lucky run where you don't deal with, where the creatures don't really slow you down too much. And it is kind of annoying to like deal with creature RNG, but at least you're not going to make any or as many movement mistakes. Okay, I cannot do wild bounces right now. Okay, for Gourmand, I should really make a Gourmand guide that isn't just about nukes. But the stamina isn't that bad, honestly, once you learn how to deal with it. And maybe you've played Gourmand enough to understand their stamina, but jumping is really bad. Jumping is pretty much the biggest thing that lowers your stamina. And rolling is very stamina efficient. So whenever you can, just roll across like every room possible, and don't jump, even like to cross like a spot like this little ledge right here. You can just walk forward to climb over it. So like if you're Gourmand, just don't jump over that. Even though it's a bit slower, it saves you time and like having to it saves you having to like stop to recover your stamina. I think that's worth it, right? So I grabbed instead of throw. It's like my experience with Gourmand went all over the place. Before I even like saw anything about Downpour, Gourmand was like kind of a boring character. It's like like whatever, you know. They don't have all the like cool movement that Rivulet and like Artificer have. And then I saw some of them, like when some of the live streamers got early access to Downpour, I saw them play Gourmand. I was like, wait, this character can do a bunch of crazy stuff. So then I was excited to play them. Then I actually played Gourmand and I got tired of the stamina. And I was like, this character sucks. And then I actually learned the speedrun and I was like, okay, this character's kind of fun. Although their combat is still kind of annoying. Like the speedruns really either like don't see any creatures or you have a vulture mask so that you don't even like interact with the creatures at all. For most of the 30% run, you have a vulture mask on. Except for in the areas where there aren't so many lizards. Getting a lot of movement mistakes here. That's the point of the practice, huh? I didn't mean to throw the spear there. I guess it kind of works. I didn't even make that. Hello? I did a fastball. That's fun. I think that Gourmand is definitely better than a lot of people think, but also some people think that Gourmand is like overpowered, and I don't understand that. Like Rivulet, Saint, and like Artificer are the overpowered ones, but like Gourmand, like they can do some pretty funny stuff. But they still struggle in a lot of scenarios. And the other creatures just have such good movements that like they never have to worry about creatures at all. Maybe just like completely outrun them. The funny thing about the nuke is that it's actually like very impractical. So I made a whole video where I tried to like find all of the places where I could make use of it, and it always felt like I was like I shouldn't have done that, you know? Like why use the singularity bomb in this way when I could use it, or I could do this instead, you know? Like you can use it to like kill an entire scavenger toll, or you could just give it to the scavengers, and it's enough reputation to for you to like be let across. Actually made it that time. I think it's either the same or more value than a pearl. And then most other creatures, unless they're like in the perfect position, it's like really hard to actually line up the bomb. Because it has like such a huge area of effect that you don't want to throw it directly in front of you because you'll get caught in the explosion. But also if you throw it too far away, then those creatures probably aren't important to you anyway. It is nice for like some like expeditions maybe where there's like you have to kill a specific creature. That's not really Gourmand since you can get a singularity bomb just at the start of an expedition. And if you're trying just like to like, kill a DLO or a Meros Vulture, like using a singularity bomb can make it a lot easier. But most of the time you don't really want to try to kill those creatures anyway. It's just easier to avoid them. And actually trying to line up the singularity bomb, it's like very risky. Hard to just like leaving them alone. If scavs didn't exist, the game would be missing something. Yeah, I think that there's potential for more creatures kind of like scavengers. I mean, I'm always saying like noodle flies are kind of the perfect creature. Where they aren't aggressive, but they can be aggressive, and like they're they're not always like the most important creature in a region, but they always like kind of add to it, you know. I wish there were more creatures like noodle flies that were just kind of there just to be there, with like some cool interactions with other creatures in the environment. But unfortunately, Downpour mostly added like more dangerous variants of creatures. Okay, I messed up both of those. Should have thrown the rock instead of the spear. Okay, let's not die here. That's all I wanted to do last time. Chimney farming karma. Sometimes I like to watch streamers or like YouTubers play Rain World for the first time. Just like to see their reactions to everything. But it always sucks once they like get to an area with low karma and they need high karma to get past the gate. It's like, oh, they're just gonna be stuck here for like an hour. Like not enjoying the game. Hopefully I don't mess up the thing at Pebbles. We should really come up with a name for that. Because I always talk about it on like the thing that you do at Pebbles when you try to get into the region. Pebbles skip. I guess it's also kind of annoying with echoes, right? Since you need high karma for them to activate. What time is it right now? Plenty of time left in the cycle. Kind of want it to be low so that the lizards at the end might get scared of you. It's funny that this run is actually like one of the few speedruns where karma flowers are actually very helpful. Because you're like, you might die a few times, but you just continue to run. But flying too much might actually lower your karma level. If there's a few like high karma requirement gates that you have to get through. Oh yeah, you can also use passages. This is something that a lot of people don't actually know about. You can use passages to like instantly refill all of your karma. So if you're ever like stuck in an area, you can use a passage to the shelter that you're at. Like not even traveling anywhere, just like passage to where you already are, and then you'll have your karma recovered. Nice. I actually went for that variant of the extended instant hop, where you have to do it frame perfect. It's weird, like ideally you do it like 2 frames late, you do the jump. I think that's how it works, at least. If you do it like 1 frame after, then it doesn't go as far, but it goes a bit higher. But apparently wall jumping is harder than perfect extended instant hops. Oh. Yeah, maybe it is easier to just go the other way across this room on the right side instead. Hours getting the champion achievement. What was like 10 of those hours on the last challenge? All these. I mean, like if I killed every single one of these overseers and gave their eyes to the scavengers, I don't even know if that would like get the reputation up to positive. I think that it was supposed to be like you didn't have, how do I say this actually? It was supposed to be so that like you only need to complete every other challenge except for challenge 70 to get that achievement, but they accidentally made it so that you had to get challenge 70. Start to roll earlier. This room is kind of fun when there aren't scavengers everywhere. That's when you don't want that variant. You get scabs at the top of the wall, Spearmaster. Yeah. And they also dislike you a lot. Yeah, usually it's easy to get chieftain. I pretty much always got chieftain when playing casually. I usually take fall damage there. Actually, it's probably a bad idea to do it like that, because you end up bouncing. Too far. Okay, I kind of saved that. Another explosive spear. Just barely too fast. If you speed up too much there, you actually won't be able to grab onto the... Okay, that's pretty much all you can do. Also, that is the side with more pearls on it. There's no like official category for no creatures. Although I feel like if there was, there'd just be way too many categories. This is like for every single run, there'd be a variant with no creatures. So that's just like too many at that point. So that I don't throw the pearl here. Although, you know, I think it is fun. It would be cool, so like maybe for a few categories, some people try it out with no creatures if they're especially a problem. If there's a category that's especially hard because of the creatures, but that would otherwise be like a really fun speedrun, maybe like this one right here. Oh, I guess that drops the pearl, but luckily I can just grab it. It's cool that the pearl has a circle effect, even though you don't usually get through to go to pebbles. Yeah, I was able to pick it up. It's probably just something to do with the that happens automatically inside an iterator. Not something that was specifically added. Because this also happens sometimes in Moon, where they have that effect around the pearl. See if I can actually remember where to go. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not even more. And I dropped the pearl. Some of the challenges were like particularly annoying. I think for the most part they're like pretty interesting. Some of them I think like could have been made a lot easier while still being like cool challenges. Yeah, the Rubicon challenge took forever. The challenge as Monk, where you have to kill a bunch of creatures, that one took forever. Of course, challenge 70. I think challenge 70 would be fun if the ability didn't have any cooldown. If you could just use it forever, because then it would actually be like playable. But instead you have to do some sort of like weird thing where you like only use it for like a split second to start moving in a direction. And then disable it immediately so they don't run out of your like the charge. And sometimes you have to use your tongue to move around, but you might accidentally grab onto the walls. Where like it flings you, but sometimes it doesn't. It's like inconsistent. How long did it take? I have no idea how long it took. But like several days of attempts. Not non-stop attempts, obviously. But I'd like, you know, spend a decent amount of time doing attempts and then get tired and like do something else. But at like a few days of doing that. I'd say like I guess it just took like maybe like 4 hours. Another explosive spear. There's been a whole lot this round. They just kind of bounced off of that pole. So there isn't any inspectors in this room, so I totally could farm a bunch of food by killing these neurons. But it's also hard to create a spear and not like accidentally picking up a neuron. But there's a few extra food pips. How do you ascend with RD? So you basically need to see some echoes. And echoes will only activate for Artificer if you have a Karma Flower. And then once you have at least 5 karma, at least 5 max karma, you can go to the depths with holding a scavenger, and the guardians will let you through. But not a good way to do this room. Or maybe it's fine. I would try to like, okay, I have a little tip for everyone here. Whenever you're throw boosting, always try to pick up the item. If it bounces off a wall, usually it's actually pretty easy to pick it up. Of course, depending on what the terrain looks like. But, you know, always try to pick it up at least. So you can immediately do another throw boost if you want. Honestly, okay, I did a run where I ascended as Artificer, and it was not like that hard at all. Maybe I got really lucky. It just wasn't that bad because you can like start off by getting a few echoes. Like in first of all the one in Shaded, and then maybe the one in Chimney. I don't remember what order I got them in. But once you have enough echoes, as long as you keep your Karma Flower, like it's not that hard to like get through the rest of the regions. And then in Filtration System, I guess I found a scavenger like immediately. I don't know. I can't really give any advice for it because it was I completed it very quickly, faster than I expected. So from here, we're going to Moon. So I guess I will stay in the shelter before Moon. I don't know when I lost my Karma Flower, though. I guess when I died in Chimney. When I died in Chimney, I didn't get it back. I don't remember seeing it. This is gonna be the only chill Spearmaster stream ever. Just saying. This is as good as it gets. So remember to not go the riveted path. Definitely possible to make that jump, but I'm not going to risk it. Okay, so here's the part of the run where I have to cheat. But there would normally be a grapple worm here anyway. Cursor on screen. It's so easy to ignore that, but I understand that, like, as a viewer, very easy to notice it. I want to stay at the top of this room. It's a bit harder once you enter this area where there's platforms in the way. Somehow I managed to climb up that. So I'd probably recommend staying in that shelter in an actual run. Precipice is quite difficult. Let's see if we can just make it all the way across in the rest of this cycle. But Precipice is going to be a region that I'm going to practice a lot more. Just to know exactly where to grapple. Just, you know, I can always sight read it, just like look ahead and know and like have a rough idea of where I should grapple and where I shouldn't, but so much of it is off screen. You may think it's safe to grapple, but then you end up flinging yourself into the abyss. So, just like memorizing where are the best places to grapple, and where you should go like the bottom path. And eventually, like, what places you should jump from and grapple to. Learning all of that specifically can help you, like... So once you have that kind of plan, you just, like execute it much faster than having to react to everything. That's how, when people, like, ask about, like, what they should do to get into speedrunning, what I'd say is, like, learn a route so well that you don't even have to react to, like, what you should do in a room. You should just immediately know, like, okay, like, jump here, roll there, do a slide, come at this pole, you know. That's the level that you should get to in a route. It's best to swing around the bottom here, although kind of hard to climb up. Oh, that was almost it. Don't want to grapple from too far back. There we go. Okay, I'll need to practice that. Or maybe I could just like do a throw boost somewhere. Okay, standing perfectly still like that seems to work well. I don't know if it's worth it to grapple there because there's this gap in the poles that you might just fall through. Okay, why did I do that? That's why. You should probably still go up top so that you can keep swinging up here. Yeah, I mean, all the creatures here can be a problem. There's some drop wigs that usually show up right here. Was it about to rain? Maybe you need to stay in a shelter even if you're not just doing it safe. Although there's only a few rooms left in Precipice. Actually, grapple here. Yep. Is it just always raining here? Or is it because it's close to the end of the cycle? You could probably grapple there instead. There's poles reaching down you could grab onto. Siren time. Yeah, we're pretty much all the way at the end. So I suppose you could keep going with the grapple worm, but I'm honestly not going to do that strategy. I'd rather learn something that's consistent. I guess I could have kept going, but this is where I'm leaving the grapple worm. Low gravity. So, you know, I'm kind of used to the gravity switching like this, because in the Rivulet story percent, you go through pebbles when the gravity is switching on and off like this. And the plan, the strategy is mostly just to practice this area so much that you know how to do every room in low gravity and normal gravity. Oh, I jumped at the wrong time. And I didn't grab the pole. Well, it's fine. I have to wait for the cycle anyway. But I feel like in this area, there's a lot more situations where you just have to wait for the cycle. Oh yeah, this room. Surely learn where I need to jump from. Oh, that was perfect. Okay, whatever I did there works out pretty well. Also, because of the low gravity, it's very hard to do rolls in this area. Oops. Don't get stuck down there. This stream seems like it'd be a pain to do in permanent normal gravity. Like there's so much like stuff in the way that you could grab onto. So you want to go up here. It's kind of also hard to tell what's going on in this room because of all the stuff blocking your vision. From here, you keep going up, and then yes, once you enter this room, you go to the side. It's always fun to be able to do that. So you're kind of like surfing. Why do they look so short? Spearmaster was like compressed. That actually kind of messed me up. Oh. Oh, actually, I almost grabbed onto the pole doing that. There we go. Not the best movement. Now we just sit here for a little bit. Usually in parts of the run like this, there's something that you can do to skip it. Like how in Pebbles you can just exit out of the game and it saves some progress that's important, but for this it seems like there's just like nothing that you can do because you have to wait for the pearl anyway. If someone wants to find a significant time save in this run. Find some way to skip this dialogue. And also remember to grab the pearl at the end. It doesn't put it back in your hand. And then it's straight after this when you have to deal with one of the hardest parts of the run. I guess whenever you have to go through precipice and underhang, that's like one chunk that you just repeat twice. It's pretty much the same difficulty both ways. I'm actually not sure about that. We have to deal with the same creatures, so I imagine. Like, if you could just like give her the pearl right here. Hey, look at this one. It's funny that when the iterators lose communication, they're like, well, I guess the next best option is these slug cats right here. You would think that they could use some sort of like flying device to like bring messages between the iterators, or like some sort of flying creature. Because we assume that the iterators are capable of creating creatures basically however they'd like. So just create one that flies around and can deliver messages. Like, just think it'd be way easier than a slug cat who has to get through everything on the surface. Hey, you can do that. I don't wonder what happens if you try to take the pearl from her. I'm not gonna risk that. I think that's actually probably a good strategy to like ban a pearl or a spear right there. So you might get kind of stuck in that area where you can't move. So now we actually continue on. I wonder how long that took. Someone wants to look at the timer. Didn't mean to do that. Just happened to be there in the wrong spot. You'd probably just fall down this whole room. In the low gravity, you probably can't take fall damage. Maybe there's a better way to do that. Yeah, that's safe from that point on. Here's my chance to do a roll. Maybe there's some kind of wall pants thing that you can do here. Ah, that doesn't seem to give you enough height. See, picking that up let me do an extra throw boost for free. But I mean to generate another spear. Mess that up again. Well, actually, I don't know if there's a better way to do that. It's a throw boost from the top. Ah, right. Always just shelter. Maybe it's better to shelter in here after the gate, so that you don't have to worry about. Well, AI doesn't really make a difference. You're going to have to shelter twice, pretty much every time. I guess it would be nicer to shelter on the opposite side of the gate, so that you don't have to go back as far if you die. Okay, I guess that's just impossible. So on your first way through here, you would stay in this shelter. So if you die anywhere in the moon, you would not have to go back through the gate. Or the karma requirement, that actually probably be the biggest problem. And on your way back, you would want to shelter on that side of the gate so that if you die, you don't have to go through it again. So just a small optimization. Oh wait, no spear. We're getting the grapple worm. So at the moment you put the grapple worm inside the shelter, they just can't move. Like they're just stuck in this one shelter for like several cycles. I guess it's just one cycle that they're staying there really. You can still hear the gate on the wrong side of the room. Some weird way that sounds work is that you can still hear them in different rooms. You fall down here and then grapple across. Okay, that works out. You might end up grappling into a dropwig or a lizard, but just don't worry about it. If creatures get in your way in this room, it might be worth it to swing underneath at all, because there's a pole on the other side you could try to grab. Oh, I almost kind of lined up with the... I guess if you miss it, you should just try to grapple it anyway. That doesn't feel like a great place to grapple. That might send you too fast. So usually that brings you far enough forward to grab that and grapple across the top there. You don't need to go across this room, just go down here and then dive for the lizard that's hiding in that tunnel. Some jumps that you don't really want to risk, because you might go a little too far into one of those gaps in the poles. Ah, missed that. One thing that I really like about this area is that the pipes follow the actual pipes in the background that you can see. Just don't miss this popcorn plant. Nice little melody that the food pips play. And then die scavengers here. Oops, that's the pipe we want to go down. I mean, there's two ways you can take that. One is that, you know, the zero gravity sections are just like a break to take in between all like the hard parts. Like after getting past all like the lizards and vultures and whatever in Underhang, you get to go through like a kind of relaxing zero gravity section where there's nothing that can really kill you. I guess it's like some of the slug zappers, but just be careful around those. Take it slow. But yeah, I can also understand that it would be annoying that there's this really long section and also a long cutscene that you have to get through in between the hard parts. So it's like you really just want to like try the harder parts as much as possible. Just like get through them, you know? Then you have to go through this really long section every single time. So yeah. But that just means I should really practice the second half of the run, because you really don't want to make a mistake after Moon, after spending all that time. It's also really hard to practice sections with creatures, because, you know, they're just inconsistent. You never know what to expect. If there's like hard movement afterwards, you can always practice the movement and get good at it. To the point where you feel like you can do it like most of the time, 100% even. With creatures, like you can't always expect there to be... Like there might be like 4 silent lizards in a single room, but you like wouldn't know to prepare for that. Might be better to go up top here. The thing is that you could probably do that room like twice as fast if you got the timings on the grapple worm perfect. I just feel like there's more to optimize with grapple worm movement, or just grapple movement in general. Like okay, I don't know what. How do you do that? Is it going to try something different here? Let's just go above this, because I always end up falling below that big block there. How much time are we at? Plenty of time. I could probably make it all the way to Sky Islands. I think I do have to take a shelter before the end. And I also know where I should drop the grapple worm off. Yep, can I make it? This is a good example of why I like these runs without any creatures. It's like, this is the first attempt, or I guess the second attempt after what I did. But this is my first attempt where I didn't want to like mess around and like experiment with stuff. And I've already made it to pretty much the end of the run, right? Just like that. If you're actually doing the real run, it would take like, who knows how many attempts. And I have no food. Who knows how many attempts, you know, to actually get a successful attempt, and then you might still mess up at the end. Or die too many times for it to like count as a good run. Just like this, I'm already to the end, so. I'll be doing actual runs next stream. I don't know. There's actually a lot of speedruns that I've been practicing for recently. So hopefully I will be participating in the upcoming speedrun event on, when is it exactly? I don't want to get the date wrong. Wait, stay in this shelter. July 8th, I believe, or 7th through 9th. Around that time. So I've been practicing a lot of the speedruns that I want to do for that event, which does not include Spearmaster. So, you know, I might, you know, instead of practicing the run on my own time, I'll pretty much do streams just to, or I'll only be doing practice on stream, which might mean that I won't do a real attempt for a long time. We'll see though. Maybe I'll do like practice attempts with creatures, you know, like let's see like if I can get through all of like Outskirts, Industrial, and Chimney, and the Wall, like that whole segment of the run. I kind of want to practice that on its own a whole lot. And then like all of like Underhang and Precipice, I want to practice both ways. Who's invited to the event? I'm pretty sure it's just if you like submit, there's this form that you can find on speedrun.com or in the Rainworld Speedrun event Discord. You can find like a form where you can submit a run And if your run is approved, then I think that you just get to do the run live during the event. You don't even have to do like a real category. You can just like make something up. You could like play with mods or like certain remix settings enabled. I could do like a creatureless run in the event, for example. I think I'm definitely gonna die here to King Vultures. Or a White Lizard. I mean, it's at the very end of the run, so you're kind of expected to die. At least once. Or else, like, are you really speedrunning? But there we go. Oh, I almost jumped off the... But I wonder what happens if you do that. Working in Solo No Creatures mod, go to the Steam Workshop and search up... What is it called? I'll look at the name of the mod. Actually, I can exit out right here. So there we go. Not even like sub-hour. With no creatures. If someone actually gets a sub-hour run with creatures and normal run, that's like incredibly impressive. Of course, I made like plenty of movement mistakes, so it's possible, but with creatures, that sounds rough. So here it is, Game Journalist. I don't know if that's the name on the workshop. I'll look for it right now. Journalist game mode. That's what the mod is called. I don't recommend it for playing casually. Creatures are an important part of the game. But for speedrun practice, it's a lot of fun. Because it's the movement that is the difficult part when you're doing that. So I guess we're just gonna be doing more Spearmaster in the next few streams, or like any mods that I find that are interesting. I'll still be doing that. For as long as mods are coming out and being updated, I will continue to be doing streams for those. Even if I'm not playing, like if I'm not doing like Rain World speedruns anymore, I'll always be checking out mods. At least that's the plan. There may be some other games that I'm interested in streaming other than Rain World. Although, like, I'll have to think about that if I can come up with an interesting thing to do. So yeah, that's going to be the end of the stream. I think that is probably the plan for the next Speedmaster, like, practice. To do, like, chunks of the run with creatures repeatedly. As someone, I also want to kind of, like, figure out a good route through Pebbles and Moon. Because, I mean, I know which rooms to go to, but I'm kind of making most of my jumps blind. So knowing, like, exactly, like, which poles to jump off of, which angles I should go through, I should jump at, and, like, where should I throw a boost. Knowing all of that can really speed up going through the iterators. I don't know if I'll do that at the same time as practice with creatures, but we'll see. So yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. See ya.